Was Captain Marvel actually a bad movie despite making $1 billion at the box office? Well, in my opinion, yes. And the whole box office thing, well, there is a pretty reasonable answer to that. I mean, Captain Marvel, before Avengers Endgame came out, was hyped up to be the big hero that was going to take down Thanos. She was supposed to be one of the most powerful beings in the MCU. And at the end of Infinity War, we saw in the post credits scene, we saw Nick Fury having a beeper calling out her logo. So there was a lot of hype around her. And the fact that the movie came out just a few months before Avengers Endgame came out, and I don't think there was any other option for people to watch the movie before Endgame came out other than going to the theaters. So it kind of put the Captain Marvel in a position where, anyway you look at it, it was going to make a lot of money, and because of that, it did. Now, unfortunately, for the movie, well, we didn't really get to see much of how great Captain Marvel is. I mean, we saw her fighting a bit at the beginning and a bit at the end, but overall, it was just her hanging around Earth, trying to recover her memory and find out who she actually was. We didn't get the big action sequence we were hoping for from Captain Marvel in the movie. And that's a problem considering that how hyped she was around her powers. So that was a serious problem. And sure, Nick Fury was in there, but come on, even Nick Fury couldn't do much to save this movie. And this just ended up feeling like a buddy cop kind of thing, the whole movie, without much action, without Captain Marvel doing the stuff that we wanted her to do. And honestly, I felt like this movie just could have been made in space. Could have seen her beat up a bunch of aliens that are really powerful. Maybe some aliens we've seen from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies or the Thor movies or something. But no, we don't really get to see any of that. We get to see her on Earth. And there's some story, I guess, of her being on the wrong side. And the people who she thought were her enemies were actually not her enemies. And the people who she was working with were the bad guys. So that's something. But still, it would have been much better if this was all fleshed out in space with her fighting a bunch of aliens. That's what we wanted to see in this movie. We wanted to see how she would fare against Thanos, and we didn't really get to see that. And then her role was pretty small in Avengers Endgame. So she was there at the beginning and just at the end. And I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, if Captain Marvel was hyped up to be that powerful, having her around would kind of make everyone else feel a bit useless, if you think about it. I mean, sure, there was Thor, but Thor in Endgame was kind of messed up after everything that happened in Infinity War. And having someone like her around might make the other people in the movie irrelevant. So, and they need everyone to be, and they need the original Avengers to be focused on. So, cutting her out kind of made sense. But then hyping her up as the main hero of the that was going to save everyone and beat Thanos, that seemed like a complete waste. And it's kind of proven when you think about it, because she showed up at the end of Endgame and she completely destroyed Thanos' giant ship easily. So imagine if she was around from the beginning. When the battle actually started, she would have destroyed Thanos easily. It's just that. So they had to work around her powers to make sure that everyone else stayed focused on. So that was a problem, and the fact that they made the movie and they hyped the character up this much feels like a complete waste. Honestly, a hero that powerful showing up and her not being the main character doesn't make sense. Now, I don't have the problem with the Endgame was based on. I mean, focused on the original Avengers, but I would much rather her not being in the story at all. I mean, if she was not even going to be used. So, and it's a bit disappointing since she is supposed to be one of the most powerful beings in the MCU. Now, I was hoping for a better story in the redemption and a bit of a redemption in Captain Marvel 2, but that wasn't all that great either. And that's a whole nother thing. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, the Captain Marvel was a complete letdown, and it felt like a rare miss in the Infinity Saga. Now, if you think about it, it does make sense why she wasn't all that big in Endgame, but in her own movie, she was completely let down. It's kind of sad to think about, and she had a lot of potential, and I wish she had a chance to show that. So it is what it is, I guess.